what you know, which is important, is what Paul can't be saying. This is key, this is critical. Because we started at the beginning and we walked through this whole idea of covenant all the way through the whole Tanakh to get to this point so that you now have the context and the framework. It's hard to understand that you might actually have to know the entire Bible to understand what one person Paul is talking about. But that's what you need to do. The issue has consistently been, ever since Paul got involved, the relationship between the Jew who believes and the Gentile who believes and what they become together. And he really explains this very beautifully in chapter 11 of the book of Romans. And that's kind of the framework of what we're trying to get to, because there's two places, believe it or not, in Romans where covenant is mentioned. It's chapter 9 and chapter 11. And we're going to end up reading almost the entire letter to the Romans just so we can understand those two verses. Because you need to understand that the argument that's going on in Romans is who's covenanted. You will see in Romans, if you're looking through those lenses, an attack on the law or attack on the Torah. By the way, as we read through this, I'm reading through the scriptures version. I'm going to try not to read the word Torah, but to read the word law. And the reason is this: there's at least, I don't even know how many dozen places where the word Torah is put and it's wrong. It's just referring to law. And sometimes it's the law of sin and death, which is law. It's not Torah. Okay? So be careful. The translators here didn't do us any favors. So at the root is the covenant. That's what they're grafted into. A lot of people always wonder, well, what are they grafted into? The Jews? No, the covenant. That's the set apart thing, the covenanting with the Creator. And the natural branches are those that were in the original covenant, Israel. The wild branches are those that would be grafted in later. The natural branches are those that were given the covenant by birth. They were brought out of Egypt and given the covenant. Just knock it off. Stop thinking you're so special. Just appreciate that he's called you and appreciate that there may be an opportunity for everybody to get in here. Because until recently, you didn't have a shot, little Gentile. This wasn't about you. It was only about them. But because of the way Yahweh worked it, he's opening the door for everybody. And that was always the plan. I mean, he told Abraham, you'll be the father of many Gentiles, many goyim. In other words, if you do something that's easy, nobody's talking about it. But because you deal with a family that's against you, your coworkers that are against you, when you overcome the adversities of making a stand for what you believe, guess what? People talk about that. So it's not like, wow, these people have great belief. Well, how do you know? Well, James tells you, you'll know my belief by my actions, my works. And he talks about belief obedience already. So he says, people are talking about your level of belief in Rome, a place which is not conducive to believing and walking in the truth. Whether you think you have a relationship with him or not is irrelevant. What matters is whether he thinks he has a relationship with you. Because it's got to be on his terms. The covenant wasn't negotiated. It wasn't a negotiated contract. Okay, come to the table, let me hear what you want. No, Yahweh said, I offer this. No arguments, no negotiating, that's it. Not the hearers, but the doers. And this is something that is very important to Christians, the idea about being declared right. Well, we're declared right by just claiming Yeshua, by making an altar call. No. Rav Shaul just said that the hearers are not going to be declared right, but the doers of the law shall be declared right. It only makes sense. If you do what's right, you're going to be declared right. You do what's wrong, you're going to be declared wrong. Boy, that's complicated. He's trying to make sure you understand that the Gentiles have a problem. They will believe in Yeshua and are struggling to embrace the Torah. And the Jews have a problem. They embrace the Torah, but are struggling to not be hypocrites in how they walk it out and embrace Yeshua. And he's trying to reconcile each group, picking on the other group for their various failures. And in this chapter, he's trying to tell you, there's no one good, you've all failed, stop it. Just knock it off, you're all sinners. So now he's explaining about how the death penalty ultimately was paid by Yeshua without us paying. We did not have to pay that ultimate price if we embrace the covenant in the context of Messiah. So if you do the works of Torah and believe in Yeshua in the fullness of that context, your debt's been paid. Within that context, requirements are things like repentance, teshuvah, turning around, getting back on the path.